Hey, this is Ransom1690 back here with another video. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about today. I think this is just gonna be a general rant. Uh, you know, I do have a lot of anti-natalist stuff that I have written down that I still want to talk about, but I be wanting my thoughts to be organized and stuff, and I be liking to marinate on what I'm gonna say and stuff, but today, I don't know. It may be some anti-natalism stuff in this one. I don't know. Right now, I'm just walking to the corner store just to give me a Coca-Cola because, I've been just really trying to focus on my art like I've been talking about last video and all of that. And, this stuff, like, it's a lot more mental than what it really seems. Just sitting in front of a desk focusing on drawing, like, it really doesn't seem like it's all that hard, but it's like, if you're serious about the craft, it's a lot of stuff that you have to pay attention to. And it's real weird because I have been improving a whole lot. I've really been improving just on my anatomy and accuracy and all of that. But it's also a lot of, I guess, what they call, what is it called? It's imposter syndrome, because I still don't feel like I'm at the level that, to where I can be happy. And I remember when I started doing some art, like 5 years ago, like, I was always looking at art books of like just all these different artists, and me, I'm not really into the whole conventional stuff like Renaissance or all of that, or even like Impressionism. Like, I'm into a lot of wacky type stuff like James Jenkins and Remedial Varo. And you know what? I think that's what the topic is gonna be about. I said there may be some anti-natalism things in here, and I think mentioning those two names just gave me my next idea. Because the reasoning for me getting into those artists is actually pretty ironic. You see, back when I was in high school, I was a little bit into, the whole classical art, all of that type stuff. And, not to knock it if there are people that are into it, but it's just like, as I've kept getting older and seeing more of what the world was really about, and just going through stuff in my life, going through hardships, and on top of, the art scene kind of has something to do with it too. Because at the time, I was studying an online course from this classical channel. They teach, I guess, the classical way of drawing and all of that. And just the whole attitude. It's what you expect. It's really rigid and just very, this is how you do it. This is how you draw the anatomy of a human body, which I agree, that's how it has to be if you are serious in taking your skills to the next level. But it was just getting, in my opinion, just kind of over the top with some of what they were saying. Like they were telling you, okay, you must not use an electric pencil sharpener because that's for kids. A real artist does not use a pencil sharpener. They use an X-Acto knife. And me personally, I like to use both. You know, I use an X-Acto knife and a pencil sharpener, right? But they would say no pencil sharpener. You must not use blending sticks. Real artists do not use blending sticks, and they do not shade in this manner because that proves that you do not have a classical drawing skills. Like, this is how, just the stuff they were actually saying, and it just came off as pompous, and just how they will berate other artistic approaches. Like, it was just, I mean, and I value the things that I learned from it, but just the attitude, it was just snarky and snobby, and I don't know how else to put it. But of course, that didn't help with my perception of the world any, because I was already going through a bunch of bullshit at that point. But something changed in me to where, you know, I still value the knowledge, I still value the education, but my taste changed to more of something that was more geared to, I guess you can call it escapism, because I didn't like the reality that I was living in. I didn't like my situation or the things that I was going through. And of course, going through that class, it just added to the whole stigma of classical art just being really, you know, posh, I guess you can say. And I didn't like that either. So my tastes, they just changed. Oh, and before, you know, just getting back on that, I think that's around the time I started growing out of Renaissance art. Because just you know, I didn't appreciate the message, or again, just the stigma behind it. You have, like I was talking about with Leonardo da Vinci, artists like that who were like to draw a bunch of religious art. And I'm gonna try to be respectful about this, but you know, the whole just atmosphere of that type of art, for me, it was placing mankind on a pedestal that's higher than what they were. And so it really didn't help that that type of artwork was also associated with the rich class, and just, well, only these people can be in art because they have the money to buy it. And I just didn't like a lot of that pompous shit. So I had developed a mindset from that point forward that Men are nothing special. You know, with a lot of Leonardo da Vinci's and Michelangelo's, it's all religious themes. So of course they like to tell the story of Adam and Eve and how they were the perfect creation of God. And you know, the Sistine Chapel, just think about that. How, you know, that one picture where it shows God in a physical manifestation reaching out to Adam and bestowing grace upon him. But it's like, when you look at this reality we're living in, men are nothing special. And I'm not, when I say men, I'm talking about, like, you know, humans in general, men and women. We are nothing special on the face of this earth. And I often think, for us to be portrayed in this glorious light, we have a bunch of disgusting attributes to us. You know, let's just look at our physical functions and how we have to be enslaved to what our bodies must do. Okay, so we gotta daily take a shit and piss, which are both disgusting acts of the human body. They are nothing nice, and they're nothing that we can control, but it's something that's necessary to our survival. You know, just think of it, us being creations that have to excrete waste just to continue to survive. That doesn't sound too glorious, does it? It doesn't to me. Let's think about how we're able to get sick, how we are a slave to needing food, needing to eat. And I know a lot of other antinatalists talk about this too, that it's only a certain amount of time you can go without food and water before your body starts shutting down and you die. And so I think I'm gonna go to this Circle K down here, just so I don't have to interrupt the video. I was gonna go into here, but I'm kind of getting into this now. But that doesn't sound too glorious, does it? Not to me. Let's think about the fact that we gotta work. You know, just we need pieces of paper just to do damn near literally anything. And if we don't have this fucking piece of paper, then we're gonna be homeless, some shit. Like, you know, I talked about this before, but so I'm gonna try not to repeat myself. But that doesn't sound like a glorious creation. And you know, you get the religious folks like who talk about, well, that's because man failed, and you know, I actually made a video about that, but I just didn't post it because I might just post it now that I'm talking about this, you know. But anyway, just thinking about just man, and we're not even getting into the personality aspect, but just the physical needs that a person has to do. None of which is too glorious, like what I said, having to piss and shit every so often. None of that is really too appealing. You know, when I think of a glorious species, I think of something like, let's say, from For any of y'all who watch that animated series, like Viltrumites or some shit, just how they're super strong, they're fast, how they're a race of technological and physically advanced species who are just strong, who are mighty, masculine. You know, even the women are strong. Even they have masculine traits about them. You know, just really proud. Proud species, like, you know, just, that's what I think about. But I don't think of us as we are as anything worth boasting about, because men are not about shit. We are nothing special on the face of this earth. And that's, in my opinion, what a lot of classical arts or Renaissance arts try to do, is try to make men seem at the center of attention, like they're more important than what they really are. On top of that, let's look at the way we treat each other. Let's look at how we have to step over one another in the workplace just to secure a good standing, to make money, just to survive. You know, let's look at how you have kids bullying other kids in school, and how you just have people out here who are not nice. Now, sure, there are some exceptions, but if it's one thing that's glorious about us, I would say it's the fact that we are unpredictable, and not in a good way, because you don't know who to trust. So you can trust nobody. That's the only thing glorious about us, is that we're untrustworthy. Even the super nice, most nicest person can have a dark side. But you won't know about it until it's too late. So, I was going through about a lot of that around the time that my tastes in art was starting to change. So, hold up, let me cross this. Normally this is where I would end my videos, but I think we're gonna go into a part 2, because I just have that much to talk about. So yeah, y'all get to see the rest of this time, I don't know, or at least a little bit more of it than what I usually show. Anyway, if I can cross this street real quick. Hold up. Cars coming. All right. But yeah, it was around that time where I started thinking about all of this, where my tastes in art actually started to change. I did not see men as anything special, nor could I tolerate to be around another human being. So, whoops. All right, here we go. So, I started to seek subconsciously. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm gonna try to distract myself from reality because it sucks. That wasn't the intention of me getting into a James Jean or a Remedial Viral. My intention was, oh, these artists, they're pretty cool, huh? I like the whimsical colors of them. I love the abstractness, the fantasy-esque environments, and the subject matter. just things of a whimsical nature. And that's not what I would have called it at the time, but it had become my cope at that point. Just surrealism and a fantasy art. It became my cope from this drab, boring, and otherwise cruel reality. Now, I wasn't an antinatalist at that point. 5 years ago, I wasn't an antinatalist. I didn't even know what antinatalism was, but I knew that this stuff inspired me. It inspired me because it was something that was different and that was unique from this reality. And if you're an artist or an art enthusiast, then I would encourage you to look up the works of James Jean and Remedial Varro to know what I'm talking about. And not just them, but it was also around this time where I started, getting more into the whole anime style too. So I started to discover artists like Posuka Demizu, which if for the anime fans on here, she was the artist for the mangaka, The Promised Neverland. Probably one of my favorite mangas. It's a shame it still went downhill, but whatever. But she did a whole lot more art than just that. She has a whole lot of original art as well. And just how engaging the themes were. Now, she isn't super detailed or anything, but just her subject matter and just how narrative driven they are. There ain't no words or anything, but it's in each and every one of her illustrations, it's something going on, something fantastical, and it's a lot of emotions you can really grab from that. And that's something I want to get into later. It may not happen in this video, but I guess her stuff also falls under the surreal fantasy-esque category, because she has a lot of fantastical elements in there in her original illustrations. That's motivated me to try to seek my own style. And this is the stuff that I started to gravitate towards as an artist, because this reality no longer inspired me. I was no longer inspired looking at another human's face. I was no longer inspired looking at another, anatomical feature of a human. I was no longer inspired by the area, the air, or the environment of just this reality, because of the burden and all of the suffering that this life can produce. And so that takes me back with what I was talking about in my Hayao Miyazaki video, you know, when he was like, you know, slamming the anime industry for, I guess, not taking inspiration from life. And I'll reiterate, like, yeah, because this life sucks. A great deal of people suck. Now, whether it sucked in his day, I don't know, but every time I look around and I see people walking about and I think about the experiences, yeah, hold up real quick. So yeah, just get to see a little bit more today. All right, think I'll cross way down there. But actually, let me kind of cut this off and I'll be back to y'all with a part 2 because this video is getting ready to cut off. So hold up.